I'd like to call this utility committee meeting to order. First, I'll make sure that our clerk is. Are we taping?
Yes.
Okay. With that out of the way, I'd like to have a call to order and a roll call, please.
Hicken,
Here.
Walther,
Here.
Fox.
Here. And with no further ado, let us have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. One of the things that there are really two main items on this agenda, and the real reason we had the meeting tonight, if the utility committee members will recall, is we had asked Mr. Cooey to do some investigation into the Flexum flow meters and report back to the utility committee. That item is on the agenda tonight for city council. So I was hoping that Mr. Cooey could give us, number one, I hope it is a good report, but let the utility committee make a decision as to whether or not we think we want to go that direction. And so without any further ado, again, I'll pass it on to you, Mr. Cooey.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fox?
Yeah, didn't we already do this? And
No,
didn't
we
already
had-
make a recommendation to
No,
council?
you guys, we talked about it at the previous,
Okay.
or two ago maybe, and asked Nathan to provide and gather some additional
That's right, some
information, which he has
additional
done,
information.
and that's what we're gonna cover tonight.
Okay, thanks.
So first off, I wanted to, I gave you a copy of a little report I created just to kind of summarize kind of the issues that we had, why we want to get this, and with some snippets of reviews from some other folks that have purchased the units. Our total cost is 2 metering devices and one monitoring module with a remote capability so we can get it over to our SCADA system. That fixed price is $12,660. That's what's on the agenda tonight. Given our restrictions, if you look through the report, I have a couple pictures in there just to kind of give you an idea of how we ended up with this FlexM option. I guess it'd be the second page of your report, just with the picture there. That was our first option. If you look at that, you see the blue 90, and then you kind of see like a maroon red color centerpiece there with a sample tap. Our first option was to install a mag meter at that location.
Mr. Cooey, just for your reference, we don't have color.
It's going to be in your
Oh, you
council
don't have
packet.
color?
Council packet is colored.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
My bad. Well, anyhow, this picture. See that one?
Oh, that's
Color,
prettier than this one.
Yeah, sorry. The idea was to put a mag meter at that location. The lay length was not long enough to support that. Given the configuration in the room, there were no options to come up with a way to get a larger lay length to make it fit there. So that option was tossed out. Turn to your next page, you can see the fittings, the Y coming off of the two pumps. We have two high service pumps. So the water in the clear well, based on system demand and set points from our towers and maintaining the pressure through town, leaves the plant through these pumps, and you can see they have separate discharge locations but come together as one common pipe. So our next option was to look at 1 and 2 and putting 2 mag meters in there to meter each pump production or pump output. The lay length there, it was close but too tight to fit the 2 mag meters that we looked at as an option there. And the manufacturer was worried about harmonics from the pump because these pumps are on VFDs and the proximity to the mag meter to the pump. They weren't entirely, 100% sure that we wouldn't have some type of fluctuations with the low voltage of the metering equipment. Option 3, I tried to do the picture justice using some of our GIS. You see the little picture at the bottom. You can see the star with the number 2 by it. That's the building that the pumps are actually in. To kind of give you a reference at water plant 1. So our plan was to come out at point number 1 there and dig down get to the main, well, the discharge main, and basically set a vault and put a mag meter in that, which would have worked. It would have worked fine. Wouldn't have been a problem, but the cost, as we worked through some of the options with this one, worked out to an estimate of $22,000 before we were said and done going that way. At a new plant, if we were to build a plant tomorrow or any other time, you're going to have something like this, a valve vault, or you're going to have a location in your building or closer to the clear wells. This would be like, if you want to do it by the book, 100%, this is the best way to do it given our situation. But the cost, in my mind, is a little prohibitive. Then we came to option number 4, is this FlexM setup. It's a ultrasonic flow transducers. I should have attached some pictures to this. So basically what we're going to do, if you scale back to where we were going to put the 2 mag meters downstream of the pump, we're going to put these clamp-on ultrasonic meters on those spool pieces there to monitor the flow from each pump. They came out and tested it. We didn't have any harmonic issues with the VFDs. We ramped them up. We took them down. We went halfway, went a quarter, just to kind of see if it would cause any interference, and did not. Did the test run, and pretty confident this is the best option for us, giving the cost in respect to the budget. That comes in at the $12,660 mark. As a part of my assignment from last time, I got together with Chaltron. These are the folks up northern Ohio that rep these products, and asked for their customer list so I could call and reference some of these. I did not call Marathon Petroleum, but they have over 250 meters installed in some of their industrial applications. A lot of the larger treatment plants up north are using these because, well, mag meters are cost prohibitive on a 24-inch pipe. It can be done, but this is a good alternative for them. The one that I wanted to, Avon Lake Water, they use this on some of their very large customers, commercial clients, industrial clients. In lieu of a traditional water meter, they use this to meter the water that they ultimately bill for. They like them, they continue to use them, and they've got a maintenance crew themselves as they go around, like we would meter technicians. They replace and do all their work. Thumbs up from everybody that I spoke to. The local entity that has this product, Village of West Jeff, they use it on the wastewater end. They're not using it on the water end, and this was my concern with some of these ultrasonic, since it's outside the pipe, if wastewater that has a higher amount of solids and deposits in it would throw off the meter readings, but they seem very satisfied with it. So their application has been fine. We're using it on the clean water side, and instead of using a magnetic sensor, we're using ultrasonic pulses that measure the rate of flow through the pipe. So I guess with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if I missed anything in previous discussions, to help you with this process.
Mr. Fox?
West Jeff, how long have they used it, do you know?
I can't think off the top of my head. I'll tell you this, the list that he sent me, the guy from Chaltron, the spreadsheet he sent me hasn't been updated since 2015. And this was one of the late additions. As he sent me an email, I said, do you have any more? Do you have anyone
Probably a
local
year.
in Columbus? And this was the only one he sent.
Perchance, do you know? I know longevity was a concern. Do you remember what? Was that on the spreadsheet? I guess is what I would.
No, in what most of the applications, there's a handful of folks that have had these in operations for less than 5 years. So with any piece of equipment like this, it's hard to tell. I don't know if it was Avon Lake or City of Cleveland, the water plant. One of them had them over for 5 years and haven't had any issues with it.
Is that also big?
Oh, Avon Lake, they've been using it for 5 years. Everybody else was less than that.
Is that also because of the newness of the technology?
Yeah, I would say. Just because, well, I didn't hear about it until this summer, so
Okay.
not to say that I know everything. But.
Mr. Walther?
Come on, Nate. You know everything, right? I can't remember what you told the warranty on this was. How much?
2 years. I got a
2 years.
2-year warranty. And these guys that install part of our package with the sale, they're going to come and do all the technical setup, make sure everything's good and humming along. And then, of course, we've got, if we need an emergency or something, they have parts. The only thing that I think would ever cause trouble, and it happens in our world, if it's a lightning strike. A lightning strike will take out anything, but we're going to be a little proactive with this since it's an outbuilding. We're going to go ahead and put some surge protection equipment in line with this in the attempt that that will blow before it messes with any of our equipment there. So,
I was just going to ask you, is there any grounding issues with this?
no,
Because you are attached right to the pipe.
right. Well, this building that we're putting it in, that was a part of the 2000 upgrade at Water Plant 1, so it has updated electric, and it does have its own ground rod there at that building since it's out separate by itself. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about that.
Any idea who the warranty is through? Is it through the rep, or is
Through Chaltron.
it through? It's not through the supplier.
No,
Is there any way we can get the supplier to give us a warranty?
Well, I
The only
guess I
reason
could
why I
check
say
on
that is
that.
we don't. There's no
case.
way for us to go back to the supplier.
Yeah. Well, let me check on that. I would.
I mean,
don't think
don't get me
that
wrong.
would be
I think this is a
problem.
great idea, Nate, and I think it
Yeah.
saves money and
Yeah.
it's easy to install, and all those things are really good things. And it sounds like it's a wonderful. If we can get a warranty through the manufacturer, we are miles ahead.
Well, and I'm going to check on that because most of the time, anytime you buy a piece of equipment, I'm even going to use like our fine screen at the wastewater plant. It's a 1-year warranty. So I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate. Maybe that's what the manufacturer, and as this company's trying to build this product, maybe give one more as a sense of good. I don't know, but I'll find out and see if for some reason if they would fold up, if something happens during that warranty period, check with them.
So my next question would be to Mr. King and Mr. Cooey, and actually to the entire committee, which is that this is on the agenda for this evening.
Correct.
Is that reason to pull it? Or, okay.
Yeah, I'll back up what Nate said. Typically, anytime you buy equipment, you're going to get at least a 1-year warranty. We will certainly do everything we can to negotiate a longer warranty, and I think they'd probably be amenable to that.
It's just a matter of who you reach out to.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's all. If you have the manufacturer,
Yes.
you'll get response. If you have the supplier,
Yeah.
they can give you some problems, whether it was an installation issue or whatever. Like, you have the manufacturer, you've got them.
Well, maybe we could play the card that, we're one of the first few in central Ohio. You want to get a good.
Exactly.
Maybe play that.
You want
and see if
everything
we
to be
can-
positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that said, do we need to entertain a motion here to recommend to council that we approve?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to council.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Could I have the discussion? Could I have the roll, please?
Walther,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Pickens,
Yes. The next item, I knew that there was nothing at 6:30. I had talked to Nathan and said, hey, I don't know if the committee itself has seen the review of the budget of the 2017 CIP. And since we're about to have a budget meeting on the 10th, I wasn't sure if it wouldn't behoove us to spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes, nothing much, just on focused items that are utility-based so that at least the committee members would feel comfortable with moving forward with looking at the budget stuff, and especially as it relates to what we're going to discuss on the 10th. So with that, I would also turn it over to you, Nathan, and I'll watch the clock and
Okay.
wave at you if it gets too long.
Yep, that's good. I gave you a document. This is something that we've been using for the past couple of years to kind of get some of our goals and plans into writing. Some of it's repeat, especially the second and third page, some of our goals and just kind of laying out a little bit mission statement type of stuff. But I wanted to let you know at least our plans for the budget, the things outside of the norm, some purchases that we're going to look at or continue to look at for the next couple of years. So if you don't mind the first page there, I've got the WRF phosphorus removal study. You can see that number behind it, SWC 17003. That's the number in our capital planning process as we plug these in. It's always got an assigned number so we can either, look to fund it, make it a project, or keep rolling it over year to year until we get some action with it. This is as a result of the change in our permit at the wastewater plant. The EPA can revoke and make changes anytime that they want, really, but as it relates to Senate Bill 1, that I believe was signed in 2015, gave the EPA the authority to start pushing for some of this phosphorus removal from wastewater treatment plants. And part of our compliance schedule is by December 1st, 2017, we have to have to the EPA a technical and financial capability study to evaluate plant modifications to meet an effluent phosphorus level of 1 milligram per liter. Doesn't mean that we have to have final design by December 2017, but that we've looked at all the stones and said, all right, we looked at all the options, and maybe here's the best 3 options that we see with a little bit of price value assigned to them. So if we go this route, this is the cost estimate. If we go with option B, here's the estimate. Option C, here's the estimate. Just to show them that we've looked at it. One of the things that we're going to do with this study, I'm in the process of getting some quotes from some of our engineers that we've worked with. One quote that I got back, I was shocked at the cost. I don't know if they're trying to tee off on every municipality is going to be faced with this, but our process and plan is I'm going to develop an RFP or an RFQ on what we want these folks to do, and then what we're going to do in-house ourselves to kind of reduce some of the cost. Like, we can set up the sampling plans, and we can do some of the test modifications on our own. I don't need an engineer to tell me that part. I need them to help me with some of the cost analysis on how we're going to make this work out. So that's something that's in the budget, and I did not put a cost on that. I apologize. It's a $40,000 line item in the budget is what I put in, and I apologize for not putting that in there. It is in our paperwork. That was my bad. So that's kind of our goal, to at least be prepared. I'm hoping, well, I have some other ideas that we'll vet out later on if we really get down to the nitty-gritty on this. Currently, just to give you a reference point, our phosphorus discharge level in the effluent, year average, we're below 3 milligram per liter. Our influence coming in around the 5 to 6 range, so we are removing about 68% just with what we have now. So maybe with a couple tweaks, maybe we can get it to the 1. We're going to do some of that testing to find out. The second item there is, this is a repeat. We do this every year, our water meter and radio replacement in the sewer department. We split this cost between water and sewer because this is the same mechanism in which we bill for sewer usage. So just so you know, it's just not all water. It's the same mechanism. So if we need a water meter, that person's also being metered and monitored for wastewater bill. This is just something that we put in every year, just so you know that we're committed in making sure that we don't let our meters lag behind in age and have to go through what we did with Beechwood Trails and, notice that our revenue may be slipping. We're putting out the same amount of gallons, but why is our usage less? And a lot of times it ended up because of aged meters. Aged meters do err on the side of the customer, which is good for them, but not necessarily great for us. The last item there in sewer, continual sewer GIS system updates. What we've done this year, the utility department has kind of got this ball rolling over the past couple years, getting some of the software, getting some of the backbone of the system built. Now what we're doing in 2017 is, if you recall last year, this was a $20,000 line item out of this fund. It's a 10 this year because there's going to be 10 from sewer, 10 from water. General administration for public service is paying into a little percent, and zoning. So we all have one task order, but they're doing the duties for each department as we kind of continue to build this system. We're going to do that at some point. Zach in the zoning department, I would say he's the most experienced with GIS out of all of us right now, and he wants to get some of his certifications with that. So as we move, not to throw more work on him, but eventually I see a scenario where he's our GIS IT tech guy when it comes to some of the data upload. For me, it's a great tool. I love using it, but as far as the editing, it's a whole nother language for me, and that's what you're seeing here is basically us paying a contractor to do some of the editing of the material for us or putting it in. The water goals, water booster station, got that project there. Our price point right now is $450,000 for construction and design, if possible in 17. Trying to look at our options to increase capacity at the booster station, because right now, that's where our growth is, and that is currently our limiting factor. We've got plenty of surplus to provide water and pump water, or produce water. We're getting limited on how far we can send this water. And I'll always go back to that this booster station that sits now was built in 1987 with the sole purpose to provide water to Beechwood Trails under a contract with Licking County Commissioners. It has now been deeded to us in 2012, it became ours. Officially, all the infrastructure, everything's ours. But now we're at a point looking, how are we going to continue to rely on this thing as that continues to grow out there?
And it now feeds Hazelwood, is that right?
It feeds pretty much, yes. It feeds
Everything going
past
north.
that, yeah. This would actually, too, if Fannin and Deagle becomes reality, that's where their water's going to come from. So just so you're aware how this goes, not just Beechwood Trails, clear out the York Road, and even up here north on parts of 310. And again, a repeat of the water meter replacement fund. That's the water share of that. And then we have the water share of the GIS updates. And that's pretty much the big stuff. That is the big stuff on our budgets. Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Walther.
Nate, just for your knowledge on this, in the budget, I was looking up the numbers that you had quoted. In the budget for the water booster station upgrade, it actually has $425,000 in the budget. I know you have 450 here.
I do.
Okay.
Is that the document
The draft.
from Jamie? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just so before he gets his final draft done.
Yep.
And then under the water system GIS updates, the $10,000 per year.
Yeah.
Isn't in the budget draft,
It is or is
Not.
not? Is not? Okay, I'll look
So-
at that.
unless I missed it somewhere. The 20,000 a year is in there, but not the 10,000.
Okay.
It's the one that was handed out 2 weeks ago.
But there was one that said 20, the GIS for 20?
No.
No?
Your meter
Okay.
is
okay.
in there,
All right.
but the GIS is not.
Nope, okay.
Under the water budget.
All right. I'll look at that because we, the way it got tagged this year, I'll have to look and see if it's in the other pages because we put it under, it's not under a WTR fund this year. I think it's INF, Infrastructure Technology, because we're combining my funds, you get
Okay.
streets and
Just take a look at
zoning.
it. I don't see it right off the
It's
bat
not-
when I'm
okay.
looking at this real quickly, and you may want to just double check to
Well,
make sure
maybe
it's
it
in
was
there.
that.
I don't see it.
Well, we'll find that. It's in there somewhere and see.
Okay.
Maybe, and it could be with the change, I may have the wrong number now too, because, at least the ID number. So, thank you. I'll check on those, and, probably, I'm guessing the 450 was my, goal, and maybe after looking at the budget, Jamie said 425 is what you're gonna have, so, that may be the reality there too, so.
Hey, that was pretty clear on this one. It's 425.
Yeah, right.
That's what it says.
But the rest of the bullet points in there, you can kind of read. These are just some of the things that I look to as goals as we work through the year and just kind of continue to build on what we're doing and find ways to make sure that throughout the year, this is my reminder to make sure that, hey, we're looking at other options with billing. Is there ways that we can get more efficient with backflow, whatever it may be, so.
No other, I don't have any other budget questions. I don't know if you do, Mr. Fox.
I don't have any budget questions.
I was going to ask one quick question, and it is, when I read Southwest Licking Sewer and Waters report,
Yeah.
the report that we get, they talk once again about sinking new wells.
Oh, yeah.
Do they tell us when they do that, and do you anticipate that will ever impact us, since it's a very similar aquifer, or is there somebody that tracks that, and we should not be worried about that? Because somebody someplace says, yeah, you could sink 11 wells, and right now you're at 9, or something like that.
On the first question, I'm going to say no. Because when they sunk their last well, we found out about it, well, actually from here. I think when Mr. Mead had came, and this was after they were already doing the testing. So they had said, well, that was in one of the past documents. We told you this back in '07, we would do this. Okay. Well, at that point, we sent out an email, hey, you ever start to look at this again or drill wells, at least let us know. And the follow-up, yes, I think at some point it will impact Water Plant 2. When? I don't know. I have little control on it, just as much as in any of the private wells that may have issues, as you recall. One thing that we are doing to be proactive with that, twice a month, we're checking the static and run levels of our wells at all our plants, just so we have a baseline. At least we can say, hey, on average, our static level in the wells was, and during a run cycle, it recharged this quick. We'll do that every now and then just to see, all right, go ahead and run it, and let's see how quick it recharges itself back up. Just so we have data that if something does happen, we just can't perceivedly say, you're giving us issues. At least if it ever comes up, we have data. Now, ODNR is in the loop on some of this just as much as EPA, so there are limitations, but we can't tell them not to. How about that?
As the, Mr. Fox?
What type of drop did we notice when they brought their last well on?
Well, and that's, we weren't testing before that. So we've started this well testing this year. So
Okay.
I can't tell you what it was before. I mean, I could look back through documents, but I can't give you an exact number now that if we were even impacted. How about that? So that's why we're doing this now instead of trying to make up data on the fly or looking back through other documents. We'll at least have something that our guys are checking as part of their daily, weekly routines.
And BJ, as you've had discussions with the new administrator, is there any indication that a better line of communication may be opened up?
There is. I've talked to him about providing a monthly report to us, and he seemed agreeable to that. I have not yet received one, though. But he also felt, I reminded him of the letter that we sent to the district while his predecessor was still there. He was aware of that. But I'm hopeful we'll start to get that report from him.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't believe that was the last one we received. I think it was two meeting minutes ago, because I'm looking very quickly here at the last meeting that we got. So it was just something in my head that said, hey, should we be keeping an eye on this? And obviously it sounds like we should. So I'm sorry, Mr. King, did you have something?
No, I was scratching I'm sorry. Sorry.
One more thing while I got you.
Please go ahead.
Today I got the paperwork from Erhard, and everything's ready to be signed for the folks with the property swap at River Forest. So I'm going to deliver that tomorrow. The drawings for River Forest are reviewed. They picked up the Mylar copy today to send to EPA for review. Once we get this all signed and sent over and finalized, we'll be good to move on a bid, hopefully here in the next couple weeks. So that's at least the plan. So I was happy that's in the mail. That's 95% complete. Now the easy part, they just got to sign. So.
That's excellent. Any other committee members who'd like to bring anything up? Mr. Walter.
In the actual budget report, there were a lot of different comments about future increases in rates. And I know I'm probably going to bring up a touchy subject, but there are some definite statements that were made either through Jamie or through your statements in here about some really red line issues, saying that these are coming to us quickly. Are you, at this point, when you look at your CIP budgets, are you doing any kind of forecasting as far as rate increases over the next 2 years, say, or 1 year, 3 years? Are you doing anything that evaluating, what is going to be needed with these budgets, if they are actually, with these budgets being approved, what would be our rate increases that we're going to be staring at?
Yeah. I have not done that. But one of the things in our goals for 2017 is to kind of look at an internal review with myself and Jamie and figure out, all right, what projects, 5 to 10 years, what must be done, and what will this look like as an impact to the rate structure, and see what we can work with. So, no, I can't give you a number now on what it would look like, but I'll tell you this. when you get your booklet, when the budget's all done, just draw your attention to the unfunded projects and utility. I mean, I used a lot of stuff that Stilson did for us in the 2011, 2010 utility study. Recommendation, some of the things that need to be fixed and repaired, longevity, age-related, things like that. It'll be in there in the unfunded, and there's well over $7 to $8 million worth of projects that I would say should be done in the 1 to 5. But we also focus on the rate increase portion of it too, and when does that tip
Well,
to being unfavorable, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to go to your report also, and just,
Yeah.
I was going to bring this up during council, but at the same time, it's appropriate here.
Sure.
You know, in your report of findings too, you know, quote, "At some point, this bill will be due in a form of reinvestment." I have called this out over the past 4 years. Seems like nobody's paying attention, and this is your I&I.
It is. It is.
And so that seems pretty strong.
Yeah.
So understanding what that I&I costs
Yes.
are, if you've been talking about it for 4 years, I would assume we know what that cost is.
Well, I'll give it to you this way. Of the annual water that we treat through the wastewater treatment plant, 40% is directly related to I&I. So I compare that, one, if we continue to grow at this rate, we're robbing capacity from our system in the form of customers. And really, the majority of the I&I that we're dealing with is from the historical trunk system that was put in the 60s, you know. And it's one of those that it's, well, it's not going to go away until we do something about it. And it's one of those, how do you quantify it? How do you bring it up in a way that I always struggle with oppressive in the form of rate structures. I just don't, how do you do it? How do you go about, well, do we do $1 million here for the next 5 years? And this is what it looks like. But the thing that I look at least with our current rate structure, we have a charge for, you know, operational costs. And then we've got that CIP charge that's on there now. Those two were set up that way so we could devote that money to paying down our current debt. So there's also that option of, as debt rolls off, now there's some debt that's going to be around until 2023 and 2030, you know. But how do we reestablish getting some of this work done with a focus on the affordability?
This specific replacing or relining, do you have an idea of what the budget is for that?
I have, well, there's 4 projects that I've put in the budget separating certain trunk lines and then certain tributary areas within the sewer system. There's 4 of them. And between those 4, it's like $4.8 million estimate to do some relining. Now, some of the bigger trunk lines, when you've got the 24-inch clay and some 15-inch clay, those are going to have to be dug up and replaced. We're not going to reline that large of a clay pipe. Like the 8-inch, some of the 8-inch
You slip line it?
mains that we have, perfect for that. It's perfect for that. So it's kind of a, well, and I'll also say in some of the areas close to this building, there is no storm infrastructure over there either. So part of that is, well, if we're going to go in here and fix the sanitary, maybe it's time to look at some storm stuff. And then it adds another level of complexity, but
Okay. I'm probably like you, Nate. I don't want to wait till the last minute, and you've used up the rainy day fund, and now you got to do this.
yeah, well,
I mean, when you get down to the point, if you watch Jamie's bar,
oh yeah,
and you watch his use of the funds, it isn't very far off,
well,
and you still got all this work to do.
and that's, the projections too is not even taking on new debt.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
That's exactly what I'm
it's-
saying.
That's even out of the question.
And it's down at the bar line at 2018.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's why I was asking if we've got any kind of focus. If we're going to, I appreciate this. This is great to focus on. But if you read, I'm trying to read your reports and
yeah.
Jamie's reports, and what I seem to understand in this is that we've got an issue coming towards us pretty quickly, and we need to understand the rate increases and start understanding what kind of projects we can get done and not get done.
Well, and I'll use that too as the springboard if my EPA rep comes out and preaches at me about it and puts it in the letter. That was part of our follow-up from our inspection that he threw out there, and it's like, well, they're fully aware of it. They know we're not unique. There's several communities in this type of situation, but again, how do we approach it? What's the model that we want to set? Because whatever we do, it's projecting, just not now, it's 10, 15, 20 years out. What are we going to look like? What should this look like? The good thing, at least about our current rate ordinance and where we're at now, basically it ran through 2016. So the rates that are in place now are locked and set until we review. But a part of the ordinance is every year we got to bring it up and review and say, is it doing what we want it to do? Is it not? Then what do we need to do, and how do we do it? How does that work out? So
The question I guess I would have, is that the utility, is that this
That's
committee?
us.
it would start here.
That's what I
We,
thought, so,
and we've done it.
okay. When?
So-
We did it this year?
No, last
No,
year.
last year we did it. Actually, it's every 2 years, right? It's
No,
not.
it's every
Is
year
it? So we haven't done it yet for. Well, I'm trying to think when we did it last year. Was it November?
No, it was summertime. It was because that's where we adjusted the water CIP.
I remember that. Yeah.
So that way we were meeting our debt payments with that. So
I'm imagining that's probably going to be
The
something
next-
I would imagine we're going to put on our in the next few, we probably want to talk about.
I think that's what we.
we can absolutely. That's, and at least especially in the heart of budget season now, you can see these numbers. It's fresh. And then you can look at all these other projects that we have out there. And that's part of my, and I'm not trying to, every city, and, even the one that I live in, everybody wants to look at long-term planning for the city. What do you call it? Comprehensive planning. And when I look and watch at these, and at least here, and no offense, it's been done with very little consideration of the utility. Which I get it, because you got two providers here. So it's hard to get the two kids together all the time and talk about things. But as we move forward with some of this stuff, it's literally, I'm to the point to say, where do you guys want this utility department in 10 years? Do you want to take advantage of growth opportunities? Do you want to grow? How far do you want to grow? Where do you want to go? And that kind of dictates how we fix and when we fix it too. Because some of these things, some projects, given development situations, maybe we can get some of these projects done. If a builder's coming in and wants to put in 500 homes, well, you're going to do this extension. You know what I mean? There's some of these loop projects too. But downtown, existing historic village area, that's only going to be done by reinvestment. It's at some point.
Mr. Fox.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm encouraged by BJ and you working with the new administrator at the Sewer and Water District, because I think that's probably what's going to take. Instead of us having a not so good relationship, it's got to be a stronger relationship.
Sure.
It's got to work a lot better for both of us. I have one other thing that I wanted to mention, and this is kind of personal, but I got a phone call from the city, and they said, well, we think your meter might be bad. You're not using any water. And they said, can we come check it? And I said, well, sure, because we use the same amount of water that we always use. And they came and checked it, and the meter was fine. It just we hadn't used enough water to even click at 1,000 gallons, which we don't use a lot of water. But I just think it's an attaboy to the, I'm not sure where it came from, whether it came from the billing department
Billing.
or whether it came from one of your guys, but to have them out checking that, I mean, some of the horror stories that we hear from the Sewer and Water District are, they go back in and all of a sudden they owe $1,000 because, oh, by the way, your meter hadn't been right for the last 6 months and that. So it doesn't appear as though, that happens here. So make sure whoever caught that, and even though it wasn't an issue, it gets an attaboy for it, because that's important, that that relationship that we have.
And please start using more water.
Well, our program, it'll check for, as we get the reads, we have predetermined set points for each customer account. If they go so far over their average or under their average, at least triggers a check to say, hey, you've used 10,000 this much, you're usually in the 6 range, and usually, yeah, we had a leak or we're watering, Part of it is eliminating the surprise for the high bills, so people don't.
Right.
Just so you know, this is, and we'll follow up and check with them either way, so we'll let them know. Yeah, appreciate it.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Can I have the roll?
Hicken,
Here. Yeah. Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Here, and he's been here.
Starting over?